Okay, Nick, let's take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Glass, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to an overview on California's K-12 online content project. This is a collection of educational resources, pre-K through 12, available to all public schools in the state, all public libraries, and through them, basically every resident in the state. What we're going to be doing today is making sure you learn a little bit about each of the providers, from starting with Proquest, who has an amazing suite of resources for grades 3 through 12, then Britannica, then TeachingBooks, then Britannica. And then we're going to cover how to make sure that this is set up for you in your school so that your access points are all optimized so that every student, every teacher, every family member can access these resources as seamlessly as possible from your environments. And you're going to learn not only about these resources, but also how to reach out to the presenters today so that you can reach out for further information, for support, for training. Everything here is part of the state license that is provided by the California State Library and the Riverside County Office of Ed. It's all funded through Prop $98. And so again, what we're going to do over the course of this 1 hour, we will end at the top of the hour, make sure you get an overview of just a quick overview of the resources, and you'll get to know the different providers, be able to reach out to them for training. And then at the end, we're going to cover the setup to make sure that you know how to best set up. Throughout the session, feel free to use the chat box. We will be monitoring that. And similarly, if you need any of us to reach out to you afterwards, you can just leave your information. The providers will get that. So if you had a question just for one of us that afterwards offline, can I talk to so-and-so, just put that in the chat as well. So one quick thing I wanted to show you was where these come from. As I mentioned, this is all part of the California State Library and Riverside County Office project for everybody in the state. And so when you go to the California State Library webpage and you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see there's currently an access to the quick access to these resources, but there's always access point to the online content as well. And here you can see that you can get into and get understanding and information and support as well. Each of the providers has an incredible LibGuide or online materials, a phone number, email, everything you can do to learn about the different and access the different resources, as well as contact information at the state library and elsewhere. So again, this is all brought to you by the California State Library, and we hope you have a great hour of learning and you walk out of here feeling more aware of these resources, knowing who to contact, and ensuring that things are set up for you just right. That's what I had. Use the chat box. Keep yourselves muted if you could, so the sounds from your environment aren't coming on for everybody to have to hear. And I'm going to turn it over to Wendell Butler from Proquest. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Wendell, it's all yours. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Nick. And welcome to the session, everyone. I am beginning to share my presentation. It may take just a moment to get it started there. And welcome. My name is Wendell Butler, and I am a training and consulting partner at Proquest. I'm a member of the product education team. And Proquest is an information technology company. We curate and publish research databases that are meant to support many of the disciplines in K-12 as for higher ed. And during this session, I'll be walking you through resources that you now have available to you in your library, whether it's a school library or the public library. So on screen, you're seeing a list of the 7 resources that we publish for K-12 education to support research and to also help build information literacy skills. And I'll walk you through this list. You're seeing the intended grade levels for each of the resources. So we'll begin with Culturegrams, which is a resource for all users in early elementary through high school. Culturegrams is a resource for country and cultural information. It provides a framework to help you and your students understand how other cultures live and what defines that culture. You're also seeing the SIRS databases. SIRS Discoverer is our young people's resource. This database is specifically constructed to support the study of social issues, the sciences, and global perspectives. There are two versions of the SIRS databases. So SIRS Discoverer is for your elementary and middle school students, and the SIRS Issues Researcher would be for the upper school students. The SIRS databases, again, are constructed to cover social issues and sciences. eLibrary is the next resource, and this is a large general reference database that has lots of newspaper content, as well as magazine articles, along with editorially selected websites. These websites may contain activities that you can incorporate into classroom usage. The next resource is Proquest Central Student. And Proquest Central Student is a multidisciplinary resource that brings together many of our most popular databases. And these are databases that cover science and technology, education, also the social sciences, humanities, and you get news content as well. This database is meant to solve the problem of preparing high school students for college level research and academics. It gives them access to a variety of sources and content types, and it covers more than 100 subjects. And we use the interface for our higher education platform, Proquest platform, which is for higher education, and it's widely used in prep schools as well. And then you're seeing School and Educators Complete, which is our ebook collection. That's a collection of over 100,000 titles that can be used by both and by teachers for professional development. And the last resource in this list is Proquest Research Companion, which is our interactive skill. It is designed to teach or reinforce the steps of the research process. Now, three of these resources, SIRS Discoverer, SIRS Issues Researcher, and eLibrary, are available on our guided research platform. So you're seeing the URL there, explore.proquest.com. So you'll be able to get to all three of those on the same platform. Each of the other resources will be available on different platforms. So let's talk a little bit more about the Culturegrams database. Culturegrams has 4 different versions. 3 of those versions are meant for young students, and 1 is meant for adult level learners. The kids, states, and provinces versions are the ones that are meant for students, and they are for young students, that is, and they are written at approximately a 4th to 5th grade reading level, whereas the World Edition is written at a 9th grade reading level. It contains reports from more than 230 countries and includes interesting information such as information on housing and employment, religion, and political views from each country that is covered. You'll also find reports that include statistical information from sources such as the World Factbook, the World Bank, and the United Nations Development Program. A little bit more about Culturegrams. This resource includes content that is prepared by in-country editors, and then there's oversight by the editorial team in the United States. Each country's writer is asked to provide information on about 25 different categories or aspects of daily life. And it looks at not only daily life, but culture and social activities. And the major categories that you'll find in Culturegrams will be people and places, a history of the place. You'll find information on lifestyle, society, and even some cultural facts. This resource lends itself to teaching and learning in many elementary and middle school curriculum areas. So it'll be applicable to language arts, social studies, geography, and even mathematics classes. There's multimedia content that can be accessed through the interface, and this adds deeper insight into a country's culture and customs and traditions. And there's also it can also be used to supplement any written or oral report for young learners. And students can also build statistical graphs and tables to compare social and economic conditions in countries that they are studying. And there is a collection of teaching activities that you can use at home. The activities will include games and creative projects. There are also some problem-solving activities and research and writing activities. So you can link to all of these teaching activities from the bottom of any page in the Culturegrams resource. And you can locate some scavenger hunts to help familiarize parents and students with this resource. Those Culturegrams scavenger hunts are located on the library guide, and you'll get a link to that library guide at the end of this session. Let's talk a little bit about SIRS. That acronym is Social Issues Resources Series, and you have 2 resources, again, that are available on the guided research application, which allows students to explore topics without having to use a search box. So young learners can point and click their way to content on hundreds of topics. It's a very highly visual interface, and it's can totally be used by just browsing through the content. SIRS Discover is designed for the young learners, so beginning around 3rd grade up through 8th or 9th grade. All of the content in this resource is hand selected by a member of the editorial team, and they're looking for thought-provoking, age-appropriate articles, and of course, interesting content will be aligned with the national and state curriculum standards. This supports many areas of the elementary middle school curriculum, and it covers major topics like famous people. It has country, state, and provincial pages. There are controversial issues pages, as well as animals pages. There's over 80 controversial issues pages, and this resource now includes 500 nonfiction ebooks. These ebooks can be downloaded or saved to Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. And there's a category entitled Curriculum Activities that allows you to find books that have some type of activity. In addition, there are books in the areas of science and language, and lots of other resources that may have some type of activity or worksheet. Additional source types include international newspaper titles. You'll find magazine titles, and of course, editorially selected websites, and even political cartoons are included in this resource. The upper school version is SIRS Issues Researcher, and this will be, of course, the better choice for helping high school students with homework. It has over 360 leading issues pages. Each of the leading issues pages will include a topic overview. There's some pro-con articles along with a timeline that allows users to follow the development of a social issue, and for critical thinking, and there's the ability to search the database for additional information. All of the content is curated, again, by a member of our editorial staff, and there are some research guides, a research guide for the critical thinker. There's a research guide to help young learners interpret editorial cartoons and primary sources and infographics, and there's features like a text-to-speech feature and a translation feature that makes it easy for students to multitask or to have the article read to them. And we're going to move on to the next resource. So we've looked at Culturegrams, the SIRS resources. We're going to talk a little bit about eLibrary for a moment. And this is a very large reference database. It covers hundreds of topics. This is the resource that has the widest range of users. So this can be used by students as 4th or 5th grade, all the way through 2nd year in college. So it has a wide range. This resource has more than 1,000 research topic pages. And again, these are pages that are curated by our editorial team to give students everything that they need on a topic in one place. It covers topics like the performing arts and visual arts, science and mathematics. It also looks at sports and health, and it covers trending topics and common assignments as well. And then You can find career information as well as information on topics like historical events and environmental issues. You can also find map collections and a wealth of websites and audio and video files in eLibrary. So there is a good amount of information here to support homework assignments because of the unusual topics that are covered in the eLibrary database. Moving on to Proquest Central Student. This is on our academic platform again, and it includes general interest periodical content on a sophisticated search platform. So the Proquest Central Student is meant for students to support those who are definitely going to college. So it's meant for grade levels 9 and above, and for AP classes, your IB classes. It's a multidisciplinary resource that gives you access to more than 10,000 journals. It also has trade journals and reference information, reports, and all the titles that you're seeing on screen can be searched independently. So users can choose to search content, or you can find your favorite resource to search it independently. So that's the research companion. The Educators Complete is our ebook collection, and every subject that is listed on screen will have a variety of ebooks that you can use. So this is meant to be used by not only students, but by you as an educator. So you can find content that may supplement your lesson or help you to build out your lesson plan. So look for School and Educators Complete on the Proquest eBook Central platform. And we're moving on to our interactive skills tutor, which is Proquest Research Companion. This skills tutor was created by writing instructors who have many years of classroom experience, and they had a goal of putting together a step-by-step process for writing research papers. And it covers everything from where do I start to how do I revise my paper. So you and your users can choose to look at text-based reports, or you may choose to look at a video. There are more than 100 videos available. Those videos add up to about 3 hours of content, but you can use this resource on your desktop, your tablet, your smartphone, so it's accessible on any type of device that your students may be using. These reports are written in conversational style, and we know that this improves learning outcomes and helps students to maximize retention of information. The Proquest Research Companion is meant to solve the problem of students being overly reliant on the open web for scholarly research. And it also helps to prepare school students who are bound for college for the rigors of academic research. We know that many students struggle to get started and they feel overwhelmed with the process. So this resource will ease all of those research burdens that students may have. So we combine learning modules and tools into one resource to give students everything that they need to find information, to evaluate that information, and to use that information effectively. So there is a search aid that will search the resources that we've talked about today, or it can also search Google, and there's a source evaluation aid to plug in the name of a website or the URL for a website, the name of a periodical or a book, and you can get information on each one of those electronic resources. And just a little bit more information there. You can also plug in the title of a book and get information on your research book of choice. And there's a citation builder. You can build citations by media type in commonly used citation guides or citation styles. And the revision aid will offer suggestions for improving grammar and writing style. And lastly, if you need additional resources to support training, you can visit our library guide. The link is on screen, and we'll provide that for you again at the end of our time together. But proquest.libguides.com/K12. There is a library guide or LibGuide for each of these resources, and you'll also find a course pack that's linked to that. It will be a series of presentations and activities that you can use to help others learn about these resources. So please look for these tools to help you learn more about all of the ProQuest resources. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me via Teams or just email me at wendell.butler@proquest.com. And what questions do we have regarding any of the information that I have covered so far? Are there any questions in the chat?
Wendell, this is Nick. There were two questions that came up I want to make sure get covered. One of them was, is ProQuest or any of your products connected with ClassLink? And if so, how do they do that? And the second question was, and I didn't want to say this wrong, I said Culturegrams was for the early young children, and that was your offering for young children. Are those correct?
Yes, that's correct. Culturegrams and Search Discoverer would be for your young children, so the students around 3rd grade. So look for Culturegrams and Search Discoverer. And what was the program they were asking about again?
ClassLink. It's a single sign-on, like Clever, but it's it's called ClassLink.
And I have not heard of that one, to be honest with you. I can check with the product manager to see what information we may have about links. So please feel free to reach out to me at my email address, and I'll get more information from an internal source.
I think that's everything. There's been a lot of great things on the chat, but I don't see any other outstanding questions. So thank you.
Great, thank you all. And I think I'm passing it to Deb.
Passing it to me. So welcome everyone to the Teaching Books portion of today's overview of the California K12 project. I'm Deborah Ford Salyer, and I'm your trainer and implementation specialist. You can reach me at deb@teachingbooks.net, and I'll give you my other contact information later on in our program today. But suppose you have been thinking about school starting. I bet you have. One of the things that you might be thinking about is how they used to go to school. And one of the ways they used to go to school is they used to walk or they used to ride a bus. And I want to share one of the resources that Teaching Books has from the National Ambassador for Young People's Literature, Jason Reynolds. And he's written a wonderful book called Look Both Ways, A Tale Told in 10 Blocks. Maybe you have wondered, what makes a story? Where do authors get their ideas? That's one of the #1 questions that kids ask. And so Jason gives us the answer. So let's give it a little listen.
This is Jason Reynolds, and I'm the author of Look Both Ways. Look Both Ways is a book written in a series of stories that are all interconnected about one neighborhood and one school, and it's all about exploring what happens when the bell rings and school is over. I think so often we think about school as lockers and school buses and classrooms and bells, but really the most interesting part of school is that 10 to 15 minute walk home when there are no adults around to watch young people.
And school is a whole nother thing right now. And Jason goes on in this very short little clip to tell us about how he began to think about that and how he decided to work that into a story. And I would be remiss if I did not give you but wait, there's more, because after they tell us a little bit about where the story comes from, in these Meet the Author recordings, they read a little bit from the book. And this book has a first page 10 on a scale of 10 of, if you read this out loud, you probably will never see the book again because kids will want to know the rest of the story. So let's give a little listen.
This story was going to begin like all the best stories, with a school bus falling from the sky. But no one saw it happen, no one heard anything, so instead this story will begin like all the good ones, with boogers.
And there you have it, the perfect hook for getting a kid hooked on a book. So whether you are trying to hook your kids on a book or you are looking for resources to help you with the books that you're already teaching, TeachingBooks has all kinds of things, thousands and thousands of things to help you do what you do so much easier and to enrich the connections to books with kids, the books that they're already reading. One of the things I want to show you while I'm on this page is that though we saw this in English, I can also change this to a different language so that you can see it easily. I'm going to just change it to Bengali. And so Jason will continue to talk in his own language, but the rest of it can be translated into Bengali or other languages that you choose so that your families can enjoy listening and reading these excerpts from the authors. So that's just a little hook of TeachingBooks. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. TeachingBooks is a collection of resources that bring books to life. And it could be a book that you're teaching in your classroom. If you're working in the library, it could be something that you use to build your lessons. If you are in a content area, it could be a way that you scaffold content, but it absolutely is a way to bring kids and books together. One of the things that you will notice on the home page is you'll see my name in the upper left-hand corner. Welcome, Deborah. And that's because I'm signed in. You want to make sure that you're signed in, and you can go to teachingbooks.net from anywhere in California and it'll say welcome California resident. But you want to go one step further and create yourself an educator login so that you can not only have these resources for yourself, but you can share them with all those people who will be enriched by that content. Students will access just by clicking on the student tab because we don't collect student information. However, they are certainly and absolutely encouraged to use it. So now that I'm logged in, I might be thinking, I'm going to do a book. I'm going to celebrate the California Young Reader Medal with the book called Echo, which is our most recent winner for upper grades. And in the search bar, I'm just going to type Echo and it automatically comes up with some options. So I click on Echo by Pam Munoz-Ryan, who is also a California resident and winner of the 2019 California Young Reader Medal. And here's a good example of our book pages, what they look like. You see that this book has 36 total resources. It's won 11 awards. There is a Meet the Author movie where we actually went to her house and talked to her. So this is one example of the Meet the Author movies. You can go into Patricia Polacco's house and see the keeping quilt. You can visit with Jack Gantos and see the boxes and boxes of notebooks he has where he journals to keep his writing ideas. All of those you'll find in the Meet the Author movies. But we also have those Meet the Author recordings where you can get that backstory and they read a little bit from it. You'll also see audio excerpts. And while you might not find the whole book, you will find a good little taste of a book to hook a reader and help them learn how to say the author's name, learn how to say character names or place names, get a feel for the story. As I come down the page, you'll see the audio name pronunciations. You'll see our original resources. In addition to the Meet the Author and the audio name pronunciation recordings, we also have lots of things that you can personalize for your classroom or your library, like multi-leveled lessons or cultural representation reflections. Going a little further, you'll have resources about the author, their author interviews, but wait, there's more. There are lesson plans. You can choose a book you've never taught before and have lesson plans that you don't have to think up. And many times you'll see more than one in addition to the ones that you can personalize for yourself. There are readers' theater scripts, there are discussion questions, there are book readings. Lots of these are excerpts, but sometimes they're complete book readings. You might find a trailer. What a great way to hook a kid in a book. And you'll also see vocabulary lists. We partner with vocabulary.com. So a brand new book, or maybe one you've already been teaching, you don't have to think it up, and there are all kinds of online activities to help you teach vocabulary that you don't have to do on your own. But wait, there's more, because now we have a Google preview. Maybe you don't have 35 copies of Echo, but you want to look at it as an example of historical fiction or folk tales or fairy tales because it fits in both of those categories. Well, we have Google Preview, and now you can see, in this case, 38 pages of the book without having the book in your hands. So you can read it, or you can customize or individualize your instruction and let kids choose something that they want to read, and they can read the excerpt of the book, and then you can go back and you can talk about that. So that's what a book page looks like. But wait, there's more, because wouldn't it be great if somebody who's not here had that book, had that resource, had that book talk, had that meet the author recording? Anywhere you see the share page, share this page, this little red arrow, you click that, and now they have no sign-in required, immediate access. They don't have to be in Clever or ClassLink or anywhere. You send that link, use one of these tools, whether it's a printable or it's a digital platform, they have immediate access and they don't have to know where it came. Don't you love that? If you once you get back into your classroom or your library, you can even create displays on individual things. And ta-da, you have a shelf talker. And all they have to do is take their device, whether it's a Chromebook or an iPad or their phone, they scan that code and they can actually listen to Pam do her Meet the Author recording. And you'll find that wherever you see this little share arrow. The last thing I want to show you before we move from this page is Discover Like Books. Sometimes you want a book like this, but not this one. And if you ever want that, then you just click on Discover Like Books at the top of the page, and you'll see all the connections that this book has. Maybe you want books in the same cultural area. Maybe you want books that have won the same award, or they are the same Lexile range. You just click there and it will take you to a list of more opportunities, and then just use your filters to find just the right book that you might want. Now, when we got to Echo, we got to it because I looked specifically for Echo. You can look for titles, you can look for authors, you can look for subject areas, but sometimes you don't know what you're looking for. Sometimes it's like browsing a warehouse. There's so many choices. We have that. So go to Browse. And you can browse either all the books and then narrow down by your filters, or by authors or lists, or even series. So many times we want to know about a series, and there you'll find the series in order. But maybe you want something more specific. Maybe you're looking for K-2. So you can click on K-2. And these are all the books that we have in our pre-K-2 collection, 24,000 books. Now I can narrow it to, say, let's narrow it to science. Maybe I want to do it to use a book to talk about science. And then I can narrow down to my resource type because I am looking for the whole book because I don't have my library anymore. So now I have a pre-K book that's science. That's the whole book reading, and I have 147 choices. You're welcome. If I choose, say, for example, Stella Luna, it opens right up to the book readings, and I see one that's in sign language, and I also see a complete video reading, so I can see the book and I can hear at the same time. So I get the whole reading. And I got that by just going to Browse and choosing my grade level. I can also choose by all these other resources that you see. I could choose cultural area. Say I choose Latinx. September's coming and it's National Hispanic Heritage Month. So I want to be sure my Latinx children feel represented. I choose my books. Maybe this time though, I want Reader's Theater scripts. So I'm going to scroll down to Reader's Theater scripts. So because I want to work on fluency, but oh, you know what? I don't have the book. And then I choose, say, Separate is Never Equal, which takes place in California. And now I get the Reader's Theater script with multiple parts that I can read even on a Zoom class. And I've got 8 parts that my kids can do together, and they can practice on fluency, they can talk about the story, and then I can use the lesson plans to kind of fill it all out. I can also browse by genre. Maybe I'm looking for nonfiction. Let's go genre nonfiction. And this time, I don't have the book either, but maybe I go to Google Books Preview. So I narrow it by nonfiction and preview, and I choose this new book, Dictionary for a Better World. So there are books you know and books maybe that you don't know. And last but not least, I can also choose by my resource type. This time I want to go to complete book readings, and I want to choose my grade level of 7 to 12. We don't want to leave the high school people out, and you will see some of the books that you probably will recognize. Let's go for something nice and uplifting like Hamlet, shall we? And there you will see there is a complete book reading of Hamlet on Lit2Go that is the audio and the text, and it's downloadable so that you don't have to use bandwidth while you're using it. You'll also see there's a book trailer, vocabulary list, and more. And that is what happens when you browse. There are so many things that I could show you, but the important things to know are searching, browsing, sharing, but wait, what if you need help? Simply click on the help button, and we are so happy to help you. There is training that you can sign up for. There are video tutorials if you don't want to ask. There is a whole webinar archive, and we're so happy to help you and support you. So be sure that you contact us if you have any questions. And I'm Deborah Ford Salyer. You can reach me at deb@teachingbooks.net. Feel free to call me or text me at any time. I'm going to put my number in the chat box.
Thanks, Deb. And there were a few questions for you.
All right.
If you could go back to the home page and show people how do they find complete book readings, and how do they tell if it is a full book reading when they're doing a browsing?
Okay,
So
there are
from
a
the
couple
home
of
page and from a browse, I guess.
Okay, so on the home page, the easiest way to find complete book readings, there is actually a cheat place right on the very front where it says enjoy 1,351 complete book readings. You can just click right there, or you can type complete book readings. I started to type it and it popped up, and I just click complete. And then all I have to do is filter. These will all be complete book readings. They're not ebooks, so they will either be audio or video for the most part.
And can you
Other
show
questions?
where the preschool section is the last question.
Preschool section. One way you can get there is either by browsing for pre-K to 2, or we have a whole section that I didn't go into that's called Part 2 of our overview. For educators, then go Literacy and Standards, and under Standards, choose Early Childhood. And from there, you will see some examples of how you might use teaching books with early childhood classes, and then click on See All Early Childhood, and there is the list of the pre-K to 2 collection.
Does TeachingBooks offer Spanish books?
It feels like Stump Deb. So yes, there are Spanish resources. You can start by typing Spanish, or you can click on Browse, go All Collections, and then I would go to World Language Resources, where you'll see our Spanish and French mostly, the Meet the Author recordings, the book guides, and more. And there are a handful of other languages besides Spanish and French.
Thank you. If we have time at the end, we'll cover how can students avail of the complete book readings, but we should move on to our next presenter. So thank you for all those questions and for the presentations.
All right, I'm going to share my screen now here. Hi everyone, I'm here from Britannica, and I'm going to be going over, my name is Laurel Green. I'm the education consultant for the Western region. Here's my contact information. At the end, I'll also put that into the chat box for you guys to see as well. But I'm going to be talking about the two resources that you have from Britannica through the California State Library. So the first one is Britannica School. You get 145,000 encyclopedia articles across 3 different levels: elementary, middle, and high school. You have a selection of downloadable photos and videos. You have articles that are correlated to the standards. You have primary source documents that are at the middle and high school level, a world atlas, Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and then of course what's so important right now is home access across any type of device that you may be using. And then our second resource that you have with Britannica is Britannica Escalar. This is the Spanish language resource for native speakers, bilingual students, and students learning Spanish. And so you'll see 2 distinct levels of content, a primary and a secondary. There's also thousands of articles, images, videos, a lot of the same similar type of content that you've seen Britannica School, but once again, the Spanish language resource. Both resources provide you the option to create a My Britannica account, which is a place to safely organize and share collections of content, having access to that world atlas, Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and then once again, home access across any of those different types of devices that students may be using. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us into Britannica School, and I'm going to show you a few different things here. So for the sake of time, we do have our elementary, middle, and high school encyclopedias. I'm going to spend some time mostly in the middle school one, but a lot of the features that I'm going to be showing you are similar in those. So let's go ahead and dive into the middle school section here. It'll take us into our home page, but I'm going to go ahead and do a search at the top on the Atom. And you'll see that it's going to bring up different recommended articles and images. You can click on those and go directly to those resources. But what I recommend is clicking on the magnifying glass and going into the search results page. When you get to the search results page, you'll see these different levels here up at the top. So even though we're in the middle school section here, you do not have to exit out of the middle school section in order to see what is in the elementary or high school section. You just go to these different levels here at the top. So if I want to see what's at the high school level, I would just need to click on level 3 and it'll take me right into that content. Same thing, level 1 for the elementary content. Before we dive into looking at an article, I want to show you about some of these icons that we have along the side here. So let's first look at our images. We have our image section. All of them are rights cleared for non-commercial use, so your students can feel comfortable to save and post them into projects or put them on a website as long as it's for non-commercial use. You can easily save these images if you need to. There's also the ability to be able to do different things with this. You can easily get a link, or if you use Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, you can easily share in those ways. But then we also have automatic citations available for our articles, images, and videos. So when you click on that option, it'll bring down the automatic citation here, and then you can even choose the citation style that you want to be using for that. In our videos section, you're going to notice a lot of the same similar types of icons. Let me just make sure I optimize my sound here too. Let me go in there. Okay, so you'll say a lot of the same sort of features. We're still able to get those automatic citations, easy links to be able to share this resource. But with the videos, we also have the script provided at the bottom here, so you can read along. But also, if you press play on the video, you'll notice a few icons here to help support as well. You can easily download these videos if you need to. You can toggle this on for audio descriptions if you need that support, and also turn on and off the closed captioning if you need to for our videos as well. Our dictionary is provided by Merriam-Webster, so it's going to provide the definition for you here, but it's also going to have the ability to hear the word pronounced. Adam. When we get into the article, I'm going to show you our quick click dictionary that makes it really great to support students as they're reading through these different articles as well. Our magazine section is provided by EBSCO. And so when you open these up, if it says that it's a PDF version, you're going to get all the full images and great photos that come along with that. Otherwise, it will provide just the text for those different magazine and journals, but some extra support for you and other resources to share with your students. And then our editorial team has also selected some websites that we think are helpful in that way to support your students in that way as well. So you can always check those out if you're looking for additional resources. And then we have a selection of primary sources and ebooks that are here. So if you're looking for something like the Constitution, you can easily find the whole thing provided for you here when you do a search in the primary sources, and those are at the middle and high school level. Now let's go ahead and dive into the article. I want to show you a few things in that. So let's look at our article on the atom. And then the first thing that I want to show you is the text complexity change that you can do up here at the top. So similar to how I was showing you that you could adjust to look at the search results, you can also do that with the article. So right now we're in our reading level 2, which is our middle school. But if students are struggling with the content of this, they can easily, with a click of the mouse, bump down to the reading level 1 and access that elementary school level text. And as you can see, I'm reading level 1, but I'm staying within the middle school framework. If we were to go into the elementary school interface, it's very colorful. It's meant to be engaging for our younger audience. So this is a way to support your students in that way. If they need a challenge and bump up to that level 3, or if you're working on like an Adam high school level article, which can be very challenging, this is a way to help students get to where they need and have them meet them where they are. I like to talk about level 1 as being a very broad overview. Level 2 is going to take you detailed, and level 3 is going to be highly detailed. So you can support the students and meet them where they are. And then there's also the quick click dictionary. So if they're working through this informational based text and they're struggling with some of the content, maybe they come to the word properties and they're not sure what this word means, they can toggle over it, double click on it, and then the definition is going to pop up. They can hear the pronunciation. Property. And also get the Spanish translation of that word if they need to. So that's a way to support them as they're reading through the text. And then you're going to see some similar icons like we saw with our images and videos. You can easily share these. If you want to save this directly to your Google Drive, you can. You have the ability to print, use those automatic citations like I showed you with our images and videos. But then these ones over here are additional support tools. Similar to TeachingBooks, we also have the option to translate our articles using Google Translate. So this is, of course, a computer-based translation. So it's not going to be a perfect translation. However, if you're looking for a Spanish version of the articles, that's where Escalar, which I'm going to take you to in a minute, that's written by our Spanish editorial team. So that will be also a support for you. But this is a way that students can share what they're learning at home or also get extra support from family members in whatever language they might need that extra support while working through the content. We also have the ability to have the articles read aloud. It is going to highlight and read a portion of the text. Introduction. The tiny units of matter known as atoms are the basic building blocks of chemistry. So that's a way to be able to help students if they are more auditory learners, or also to help them if they're working on developing fluencies while they're reading. And then we also have the option to increase or decrease the font as needed if you need that accommodation as well. Along the top here, you'll see you can easily switch over to look at what images and videos we have for this or related articles. But I also want to briefly show you the Teacher tab. This is going to give you the Lexile measure for the article, but then also you're able to do a curriculum standards browse and see what standards this article will help to support. Now I'm going to take us briefly into the home page to show you a couple of things that are here. So on the home page, you'll see that we have some Explore Britannica tools like the article and images browse. And you go into these and it'll allow you to be able to go into something that's of interest. Maybe you're wanting to go into science and mathematics and look at biology and see what types of videos and images Britannica School has related to that. This is a way for students to explore, but also for teachers as they're looking for content to be able to share with the students. We have a biography browse, which is also available here at the bottom on the home page, so that you can look up the era, association, and what they're known for. So maybe you want to, continuing with our biology theme, you want to look at 1900 to present female biologists from America. You could easily pull up that list and be able to explore that in that way. We also have our World Atlas, which is with Google Maps, but it's paired with Britannica content. So whatever is center in my calendar, for example, Egypt right here, I can easily then pull up my summary a profile, and related articles related to that. And as I move around, it's going to change what that content is for me. And then because this is Google Maps, I can easily translate this into the satellite view. I can zoom into different parts of the world and grab my little person and drop them in to see the Great Wall of China if I want to, or to go and look at the pyramids, or something you might be studying for setting for a book. You're able to go and do that with a click of your mouse and go and walk around and see that with that feature. So definitely worth going to check out. The Tour the USA is connected with the World Atlas. It's just going to focus in on the United States. And then we also have down at the bottom here, you can see on our middle and high school homepages, our new and revised articles. We do about 1,200 updates every month with our in-house editorial team. So you can see here already, we have had about 4 different articles that we've updated. If it has a little dash new, that means it's a new article that we've just added. So this is not as the days of old when you think of sort of, our set of Britannica and it has to be, you have to wait for it to be updated. We are updating in real time for this. And then because there were some questions specifically about preschool related stuff, I'm going to very briefly just take you into the elementary and show you where you can find those preschool support features. This is our elementary school homepage, but there is a Britannica Fundamentals. And if you go into that for our pre-K through 2nd grade students, it has a selection of books that you can have read aloud to the students. There's a selection of games that you can play. There are 5 language arts and 5 math. There's an explore section that goes through the different biomes with pictures and videos, and even a little create paint feature that's provided. So if you teach that student, that age group, this is a great resource for you to go ahead and check out. Now what I want to do with my last little bit here is go into Britannica Escalar and show you a little bit of what's there as well. So I'm going to go to our Escalar. You're going to notice that the interface is very similar to what you're seeing with Britannica School, but once again we have our primary and our secondary. Let's go into our primary section. As you can see, bright and colorful, similar to when we just briefly looked at the elementary one. But if we do a search, keeping our atom theme going here, let's go into our article on the atom. Actually, I wanted to take us into our search results page. Hold on a second. You'll see that you're still able to easily get up images and videos. You can easily, with a click of the mouse, look at the secondary section from within the primary. But if you go into the article, you will notice, and this is the same in our elementary articles, they are chunked to make it a little bit more accessible for our younger audiences. But then the same sort of features, you're still able to get those automatic citations, you're still able to easily share these. The difference, this is written by our Spanish editorial team, and it is also going to allow you to have it read aloud in Spanish, which I'm going to show you right now.
Las pequeñas partículas llamadas átomos son los ladrillos con los que se construye toda materia.
So that gives you a little bit of a taste of what you can do with that. And then on the primary homepage, you're going to see lots of different games, biographies. And if you go into the secondary homepage, you're going to notice a lot of similar features in terms of the using of the articles like I showed you in our Britannica School Middle School homepage. But on the homepage at the bottom here, we also have our, for Escalar, the updates that are currently being done. So you can see all the ones that have been done today for Britannica Escalar. But also, if you're looking for a place to share the news written in Spanish for your students, we partnered with BBC Mundo, so you can have the news provided for you here. And that's about all the time I have to go over these things. I want to open it up for any questions that you guys might have had before that my time is up here. So I'm going to just take a quick look, and if anybody has any questions that they want to share with me, let me know.
I think everything was answered, Laurel, but there were questions about Spanish, early childhood, and just lots of appreciation. And someone asked about sharing, and Deb just said yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Share.
I'll be looking over the chats when I'm all done too. So Nick, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Susan just asked, is everything free? None of this is free. It's all free to you, but the state has purchased all of this for you. So everybody has access to these resources through the California State Library and the K12 Online Content Project. And what I'm going to do right now is just show you a little bit about setup, because it's not only is it no cost to any of you in your public schools, charter schools, public libraries, but it's also really should fit into your curriculum, as these presentations showed, and it should fit into your technologies. And for us providers to be able to do that, what I want to make sure I can show you is how to get that set up. So a few things I want to point out to you, and then I'll also put those links into your screen. And then we have one last activity, and we'll be on time to get you out of here at the top of the hour. Right now, do you see, I can't tell if you see which screen you see. Do you see the proper screen, or do you see my desktop? Someone can just tell me. I can't see chat either right now.
It says you've started sharing your screen, but I don't see what you're sharing.
Okay, so maybe I did it wrong. Hang on, thank you. Share screen, and then this, and then that. How's that?
Perfect.
Thank you. So we want to ensure that these resources are set in your environment. You need to tell us who you are, and this is done by your district, or if you're at a charter school or public library, by your folks. You can tell if it's been done or not by going to the link that I'm about, or Deb can put in the chat, the teachingbooks.net/CA setup /incomplete. And actually, I can do that too. I have it here also if it's not there. But you can then check by district or by county whether you've been set up or not. And if you haven't, then we'd like you to have somebody fill out the setup form. Because then if you're in Clever, if you're in ClassLink, if you're using Google Classroom, if you're using Microsoft Teams, if you're using Schoology or Canvas, these resources are supposed to fit into your system. And so it's really important that we be able to help you do that. And the way we know how to do that is to learn what you do. So when you fill in that you're in a district, and we know then that you're using, let's say, Clever and Google Classroom and Mac and Via and Schoology, then we'll make sure that your tech team knows how to set that up. So when you're using that, these resources are integrated as well as possible. So that's the sum of all three products. Not every provider does this, but we're all trying to get the information at once. So we're asking once, and then we communicate, and then we come back to you to help get everything set up. So that's really important. And again, the links are, I'll put those in there when we're done as well, to check and then to fill out the form. The other thing I'll put in there is a template code. If you operate your own school library, your own school websites, and you want to have these resources all there for you, we've built one set of code that gives you direct access points. So all you do is go to this link, which I'll give you again. It's teachingbooks.net/CA for California code. CA code, then you get one button you click, you get all the HTML code, and then it looks just like this when you paste it in. It's going to start with that. It's going to give you the buttons with the access. It's going to give you the support page, the phone number, and the email for all of the providers. And there still will be some back-end support that you might need from some of the providers, and you can reach out, but this gives you the code so you can immediately have that presence on your websites. So if you're not using Clever or ClassLink and single sign-on, and you have your folks going to your websites, this will be really useful as well. So I'm going to put all that into your into the chat box. Yes, Deb.
I have put those in the chat box, but we do have some public librarians with us today. Could you address that?
So for public libraries, you're going to use the same setup form. So you go to the setup form here at the top, and you just pick public library. And then we're going to ask you the questions that we need for that, such as, are you using Easy Proxy and your library card prefixes and so forth, so we can get that set up. And then we'll send you a different set of code for public libraries, but it's going to look very similar, but it's just a very slight difference. And that will be sent to you also after the completion of the setup form. There is no incomplete tracking system yet for the public libraries. That's brand new, that Proquest, Britannica, and TeachingBooks are all available to all the public libraries in the state. So we'll get that to you, but you fill up the setup form, we'll be still sending you the code, and then each provider will be reaching out to you to make sure that you're properly set up and offer training and support. So the summary is that you all have this. It's unlimited use, it's unlimited training, unlimited support. Well, not necessarily unlimited. Ask us for anything you need, and we're here to help you. It's all covered under the state contract. And the very last thing I wanted to do is turn it back over to Deb for one final activity that should just be a fun way to end the evening here. And again, thank you all for spreading the word, for learning about this, for reaching out to for support, and helping us reach all of your students the best that we can. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Nick. And I'm going to add on the screen Nick's contact information in case you need Nick. And in just a few moments, I'll roll through the others, but we're going to play a game of Blow Up the Chat. And in Blow Up the Chat, what you do is you type in the chat box something that you learned, what's a takeaway that you have from our time together, and put it in the chat box, but don't press enter. And then I'll count to 3 and say go, and then everyone will blow up the chat. So what is your takeaway? What did you learn? And while you do that, I'm going to put on the screen our contact information. So when you're watching this again, you know how to reach us. So you type, don't hit return. And 1, 2, 3, blow up the chat. Hooray! You all have access. Thank you again for joining us today. We are delighted to make your acquaintance, to support you and be your partner in this hard work that you have chosen as your profession. Contact us if you need us, and I'm going to stop the recording, and if you have any questions, I can hang around for a few minutes and answer them. Thanks for being here, everyone.